What would you do if I told you that most of the major falls in the Bitcoin price over the past 12 years have happened in the exact same 2 weeks of September? Today, I'm giving you the recipe how to dominate this September with the 3-step framework that I put together for you. As usual, I'm not giving you any financial advices here, and I encourage you to do your own research. Let's head into the first major part of the picture, and that's to take a look at what history tells us. I'm opening here the CoinGlass data, and you can see in the post-halving years, that's 2013, 2017, 2021, 2025, this one happens also to be one, Bitcoin posts significant gains in July and August, right here, over here, and here as well, greens. But then it flips in September. So you get 15 to 25% up and then red in September. The 9th month of the year is uniquely the only month with both negative numbers for the average and median returns for 12 years running. Have you seen a pattern that consistent before? Yeah, I thought so. Now, and it's not just crypto, by the way. Let's look at the data about the S&P 500 index, and that's for the past 15 years this time. So we see that what this seasonality chart shows is that September is easily the weakest month, when both traditional and crypto markets sink their seasonal downturns. Then the sell-off pressure, you can see it intensifies across the board. It's not just crypto. And my takeaway here is that September is statistically proven to be the most critical month of the whole year in terms of risk management. Also, September's red streak is 100% accurate and consistent in those post-halving years that I told you, 2013, 17, 21. It's going to be the same this year as well, 2025. And it is shown that no other month has the same record that September does. Just think about it for a moment. Now let's take a look at the price movements of Bitcoin specifically in those merry or not so merry months of September in those post-halving years. First, let's have a glimpse at 2013. You can see here a 15% drop over 9 days starting September 1st, and then, of course, a resumed rally upwards. What about 2017? What the chart tells us, a brutal 40% crash in the first 2 weeks of September. And if you made the wrong move then, almost half of your money vanished. So to me, that is scarier than any horror movie that goes out there. And I don't want this situation to happen to us this September. That's why I'm making this video. Now let's see also what's happened in 2021, the latest peak year of the previous bull run. The chart tells us 25% correction over 14 days, again in early September. And now let's see what the chart tells me for September this year, 2025. How is this going to unfold? Let's take a look. What I see is a massive, massive resistance at this level, $120,000 for Bitcoin. And I expect that within the first 2 weeks of September, we're going to go down to 110,000. But BlackRock, mind you, will be buying it all up, quietly or not. In fact, I expect Bitcoin to go even to as low as $100,000. This is what I see, and it's based also on the historic data. Now, what about Ethereum, the top altcoin? I think 3.8K is just about as certain that we're gonna hit it. I know it's bad, but what if I told you we're actually going to $3,000 for Ethereum in the first 2 weeks of September? This is the way I see it. Yep, it's a 30% drop as you extended here, but it is what it is. And for the smaller alts, I would expect a discount, I would call it, of about 30 to 40% again. Let's see, and I'm really optimistic actually that these are buying opportunities. because these drops concentrate in the first half of the month, but then the second half of September often stabilizes and even rallies. As you can see, in 2013, here, rally, 2017, again rally, 2021, easily. What are my thoughts about the implications from that? Well, it seems to me that risk is temporarily concentrated, because timing your exits and also entries can really protect your portfolio in the long run. Buying dips in mid to late September here has historically been profitable. Do you know what else could turn out to be actually very profitable for your portfolio? It is subscribing to the airdrops.com channel, where I drop regularly alpha on the market, analysis, research, so you don't want to miss that. Your portfolio is going to thank me. Okay, and all in all, I think that if you miss this window of opportunity this September, your next chance, it seems that it's going to be 4 years from now. Are you willing to wait that long? I don't know. It's up to you. It's time to move to the second step of our model, and that has to do with the liquidity on the entire market. Let's take a look at a recent report by Coinbase for the month of August, this month, and their institutional outlook, monthly outlook. So, Coinbase's August report highlights over $7 trillion in retail money. They are just waiting for the right moment on the sidelines. Also, Coinbase believe that expected Fed easing will not spark a crash. Instead, it would unlock massive retail inflows, and they say it could drive a Q4 rally. And that really resonates with my thoughts. Now, imagine if just 1% of that $7 trillion flows into crypto. That is $70 billion. And if that 70 billion flowed into a new coin created just today, do you know where it would end up? It would end up on the list of top 10 biggest coins right now. It's going to be, more precisely, in 7th spot, just between Solana in 6th, and it's going to overtake USDC in 7th. And what is my takeaway from this piece of information? Is that this September's dip could be actually shallower, could be softened, because retail and institutions are already positioning themselves for Q4. And all in all, guys, how you play this month of September will define your Q4, but not only. It's going to be crucial for your entire crypto experience, not only possibly in this bull market. And that really makes you wonder, could the month that terrifies most of the traders actually be the most profitable for the ones who are willing to wait? That's a question for you to contemplate on. Now, because we mentioned the Fed, I'm curious to learn what you think about Jay Powell's next move, and how long before Daddy Trump just boots him out of the Fed. So let me know in the comments if this Jay Powell meme lord era is soon to be over, or are we gonna keep going? Now let's take a look at another indicator, and that's the global M2 money supply. Over here on the chart, we can see that we expect it's going to peak in mid-September. And that really aligns with previous crypto highs. When liquidity growth slows, what do you think? Asset rallies lose steam. Also, add in buy the rumor, sell the price, as rate cuts gets priced in before execution. So the actual cut often triggers a pullback, not a surge. What do I think about this? Well, I would say we need to track M2 because it's a leading liquidity indicator, and it helps us anticipate market peaks. Otherwise, you and I, we may end up in the gutter again in September. That's what we want to avoid. Also, I would expect profit taking around the actual Fed decision date, not before or afterwards. This is where we arrive at the third step of my framework for navigating this minefield that I expect September to be, as it has been in the past. How do we handle the X factors? What to do for the unplannable? How do we plan for the unplannable black swan events? And this is where we find what role geopolitics and market sentiment could play. All right, so taking a look at Google Trends. And let's see. We are looking for Q4 top and 4-year cycle. What we see, record high searches for Q4 top and 4-year cycle. And these mean everyone expects a cycle top in Q4. And that collective anticipation fuels a buy the dip mentality narrative in September, which also cushions, kind of softens the declines, and I also expect it to accelerate the recovery. And if you think that point is not all that important, I'll put it this way. 4-year cycle searches are 2 to 3x higher than last peak cycle over here. Now, would you be just as indifferent if that 2 to 3x was actually the return on your portfolio this September? Yeah, that's what I thought. You couldn't be. Now let's move on to another potential X factor source, and that is geopolitics, because they can override any chart at any moment. We've seen this before. Reports, as we can see here in several articles, several sources on the internet, say that there are potential Israeli strikes on Iran this September, and that poses a serious risk. On the other hand, there is Trump, who is trying to deliver on his ambitious promises. Yeah, for peace around the world. And yep, his back-to-back meetings with Putin, with European leaders, are yet to achieve any significant results, actually. All in all, I would say it's a very fragile environment, and any flash crisis can actually trigger rapid risk-off sentiment, and this would deepen any seasonal correction that we typically would expect. So what I think about that is that we need to be able and willing to integrate the political developments into our September risk framework. It's inevitable. Also, I would say be prepared to some extent for some outsized volatility if tensions actually escalate, if Trump doesn't do something right. And one single headline, I would say, is capable of deleting $15 billion off the crypto market within just minutes. So that's how fast fear really moves on the market. But when that headline, guys, involves two nuclear powers, for example, in the face of Iran and Israel, would it matter once we see that blinding bright light in the sky? This is more than a crash prediction. It's a blueprint with real-time data and multi-dimensional analysis. Now you guys know not just if, but when to act. So if you're ready to play by the rules and not against them, then drop a like on this video. And ultimately, strap yourselves in, because we're in for some turbulence in the first half of September. 100,000 Bitcoin, Ethereum to 3,000, a general drop of 30 to 40% in alts. But again, I consider this a proper discount, so you shouldn't be discouraged. So come back here on the airdrops.com channel, and I'll see you again. Ciao.